Hi and welcome back. So it's the 51-month point of my NMN experiment. Today I'm going to cover the results I've got for May, June and July of 2023 and compare them against all the results I've gathered since April of 2019. Enough waffling off me, let's jump in and see what this latest set of stats has got to offer. So as I said, this will be a review of my subjective stats for May, June and July of 2023, which also marks the 51-month point of my NMN experiment. This is going to be a bit of a split review in that I was still in the Middle East for maybe the first 50 or 60% of the 3 months, and then in the latter half I was here in the Philippines. Obviously I didn't wake up one morning and then just fly out to the Middle East at noon. There was quite a period of turmoil leading up to that, and that definitely had an effect on my fitness and my dietary regimes. And the first few weeks of arriving in the Philippines also saw me struggling to get into some kind of new routine. That said, let's get into it. Let's take a look at my supplement regime over the last 3 months. Something has changed at the end. 1.5 grams of NMN, that's nicotinamide mononucleotide. 1 gram of trans resveratrol. Now, I used to take this on the days I don't train. You'll see later on that I do now train 5 days a week. So what I've started doing is just taking it on a Monday, Wednesday and a Friday. I take 500 milligrams of metformin. That's down from the 1,000 milligrams I took in the previous 3 months. 1.5 grams of TMG, that's trimethylglycine, 5,000 international units of vitamin D3 and 10,000 on a Sunday and a Thursday, 120 micrograms of vitamin K2, and that's the MK7 version, 250 milligrams of magnesium, and that's the L-threonate version, 200 milligrams of high molecular weight hyaluronic acid, 2.4 grams of fisetin a day, but that's only in the first, second and the third of each month. And again, 2.4 grams of quercetin a day, and again, only on the first, second and third of each month. And there's a link in the description below explaining in a video why I only take these periodic and not a daily maintenance dose. I take Cert6 activator, 400 milligrams a day. I take DIM, 600 milligrams a day. And remember, previously I've added 800 milligrams of Glynac. What I have seen with reference to now adding this is that people talk about getting excess phlegm. I've noticed that. I am bringing up phlegm in the morning. It's all clear. There's no issues with that at all. And I'm just wondering, let me know in the comments below of the YouTube video, is this phlegm that I've always had and I should be getting rid of, or is it the NAC and the glycine actually producing this? I'd be interested to find that out. Now, I take the majority of my supplements between 6:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning now that I'm in the Philippines. My DIM is still split into 3 doses, 200 milligrams at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, one at between 11:30 and 12:30, depending on whether I'm home or not, and one between 6 and 8 when I take my metformin at night. I remember what I said, I take my resveratrol now on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday. That's mixed in to my high-fat yogurt. And again, that's taken between 6 and 8 on the days of Monday, Wednesday and Friday. So that's it for my supplement regime. Let's now take a look at my diet in fasting regime. First of all, fasting. Weekdays 8 until noon. And I'll come into which weekdays are in just a second. 16:8 as normal. Weekends, I've now changed. Now I'm in the Philippines. There's not as many options to eat out here having brunch as there is in the Middle East. So I'm still fasting on the weekends, 8 until noon. OMAD, I've now changed that to Monday, Wednesday and Friday. So the fasting on Monday, Wednesday and Friday is actually from the 8 o'clock the night before until 6 p.m. the day before that. So if it was a Monday, I would finish eating at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night, and I wouldn't eat again until 6 p.m. on the Monday. Now, I tried to do the full 24 hours, but I found myself at the end of that rushing to eat. So I now give myself a 2-hour eating window so I can get in all the calories and the nutrients that I need. On the days that I'm doing OMAD, when I wake up in the morning, it's usually just water. If I start feeling hungry during the day, then it's always black coffee, water and chamomile tea. And in the afternoon, the black coffee is decaf. So let's move on to my diet. Lunch, there's no lunch as such now because I'm doing the fasting until midday. So what I've started to do is take my resveratrol at night between 7 and 8. So when I break my fast now, which is if it's during the days I'm not on the OMAD, that's going to be around midday, maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'll have a berry shake sometimes. If we've got hold of the berries, they're quite difficult to get hold of here in the Philippines. And I don't really snack anymore. If I feel hungry in that period after I've broken my fast at maybe 1 o'clock until I'm going to eat my main meal at 6 o'clock, then I'll just drink more coffee or drink more chamomile tea. I'll occasionally have a coffee with a drop of heavy or whipping cream in it. Afternoon snacks, as I said, no more afternoon snacks, just lots of decaf, coffee, water and chamomile tea. As for dinner, I eat a lot more chicken now than I used to, sometimes beef, sometimes cruciferous vegetables, but again, they can be hard to get hold of regularly here in the Philippines. And although usually a breakfast meal, I tend to eat bacon and eggs now at night if I'm not going to be eating chicken, or if there's no if there's no beef that's available. Talking about beer, wine and beer, still 1 or 2 drinks a night, and again only at the weekend. What I will say is, once I landed in the Philippines, I started to get into the routine and eating whole food that was cooked by myself or my wife. But a week after getting here, we all flew off to Hong Kong, to Disneyland, and there was a whole week there in the last part of the 3 months where I have no idea how they were cooking. I knew what they were cooking, but I don't know how they were cooking it. So that may well have taken an effect. So that's it with regard to my diet and my fasting. So let's take a look at my overall feeling with regard to energy for the last 3 months, regardless of where I was, whether it was in the Philippines, in the Middle East, or even for the 1 week that I was in Hong Kong. I would say I'm over the sickness I had, and it's now remaining high and steady. So let's take a look at other factors with regard to my overall feeling. Napping, no napping at all, even when I made the change from Middle East time to Philippine time. Because I've started taking NMN in the morning, as David Sinclair recommended, this did result in no jet lag whatsoever. I think I landed in the Philippines on the island where I live about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, picked the kids up from school, felt a bit groggy because I didn't really sleep well on the flight over. Went to bed that night really tired, woke up about 6 or 7 o'clock because everyone was up and about. The next night, went to bed at 10 o'clock, not feeling groggy whatsoever, woke up at 7 o'clock, and then that was it. No more jet lag at all. So no need to nap in the afternoon and no jet lag. And I think that was mainly down to taking the NMN first thing in the morning. Motivation has remained high, regardless of whether I was in the UAE, in the Philippines, or in Hong Kong. So I was very happy with that. Gym performance, big problems with the gym performance with regard to I couldn't do any. I think end of January, beginning of February, I went to get my driving license renewed in the UAE. Part of that is getting an eye test, and you have to go to the same place. Or I always go to the same place in the driver licensing office. And the girl obviously saw my results from the last time and said, your eyes are deteriorating and you're going to need to wear glasses for reading and driving soon, which is understandable. I'm 59 now. So I kind of said, okay, that's fine. I'll get glasses when I go to the Philippines, and I start getting headaches, or the doctors there recommend it. Then another chap who was resigning and leaving came into the office one day, and we were talking about the test that I'd had with the driving license. He said, "Oh, you can now get cataract surgery, and a big chunk of that is paid on our health insurance." So I looked into that. What they do is you have their operation on a Wednesday. You then can't do anything for maybe, I think it's 10 to 12 days after that, while you're resting and recuperating. So no vigorous exercise at all. Then you get the second eye done. And then after the second eye is done, the guy, the doctor, fantastic doctor, said no more strenuous exercise. Actually, for the first week after, you can't even look down. No more strenuous exercise for at least a month, maybe 5 weeks. So nothing at all for 4 or 5 weeks while I was in the UAE. Then I came to the Philippines, and we were kind of sounding out what gym I could go to. The gym that I go to now is nowhere near as good as the CrossFit box or the gym that I was using in the UAE, and I'm just going to work around that. Took maybe another week before I was happy to start exercising and not straining my eyes, and also to go swimming. So probably in the 3-month period we're covering now, I had a good 5, maybe 6 weeks with no physical exercise whatsoever, just walking, not even allowed to bike, is what the doctor said. So that was that. Injuries, no injuries at all. Coming to the Philippines, the gym, again, the equipment's not fantastic, so I'm taking my time, increasing weight on the weight lifting exercises very slowly indeed. I don't want to damage my shoulder because I'm sure there are physios here, but they're not in the town where I am. It would take probably an hour's drive to the city to find someone. So I'm really taking it easy there. And then sickness, luckily, no sickness whatsoever over the last 3 months. I think the chest infection, the throat infection that I had, which knocked me out for a couple of weeks in the previous 3 months, no return of that whatsoever. So let's take a look at my 51-month update subjective stats. First of all, my weight. I was 91.2 kilos, 201.2 pounds. I'm now down to 88.17 kilos. That's down to 194.4 pounds, which is quite good. Down 3.03 kilos. That's 6.68 pounds since the last check. And down 3.83 kilos. That's 8.44 since the start. I think the OMAD has got quite a lot to do with that. Plus also me now being able to train in the gym 3 days a week and do a run and a walk twice a week with my wife. That's definitely helping to being able to burn off some fat, I hope, and also to lose a certain amount of weight. My BMI, I'm not a big fan of BMI, but that has gone down from 29.5 to 28.7. So that's down 0.8 since the last check and down 1.3 since the start. So technically I'm still overweight. I prefer to use the metric of your waist being at least, if not less, than half your height. I'm 5'9", 69 inches. So if my waist is 34.5 or less, then that's as healthy as a BMI, I think, because BMI doesn't account for muscle weight or fat. It counts it as all the same, which is crazy. Percentage body fat. So my body fat was 26.40. That's now down to 25 dead, which is down 1.4 since the last check and down 1.5 since the start. So that's really good. Muscle mass. So remember, I told you that I didn't do any training in the gym, no weightlifting, no running, no bicycling or whatever for at least 5 or 6 weeks. So I was guessing my muscle mass was going to go down. However, it's gone from 33.5 to 33.9. Not a big jump, but a jump all the same of 0.4 since the last check. It's down 0.5 since the start. So that's it for muscle mass. Moving on to my basal metabolic rate. That has gone down from 1838 to 1799. That's down 39 since the last check, which it would do because if I've lost weight, my body requires less calories to stay in the steady state. So this is the amount of calories your body needs to burn if you're in a relaxed state. Visceral fat was 13 and is still 13. I'm really not happy with this. I know that the biometric scales I've got are good quality and they're not as good as a DEXA scan. But if I'm losing body fat and I'm losing body weight, some of that fat has to be attributed to visceral fat. And like I said before, I'm not sure if 13 as a number is as accurate as it could be. I mean, why is it not 13.1? And I could have gone from 13.5 to 13.1 or 13.05. There's no way of knowing. I'm not going to know until I get it down to below 13. I hit 6, which is my ultimate aim. So let's take a look at my waist. Was 36, now down to 35.5. So only half an inch since the last check, but down 3.5 inches since the start. So I'm still 1 inch over what I need to be my waist to height ratio with regard to being fit and healthy. So hopefully I'll lose that extra inch over the next 3 months. What I have noticed is that I'm losing weight around the top of my waist and also down near my nether regions. But for some reason, the fat, and I've checked it, this is the way it is, the fat around your belly button is the last to disappear. And obviously at the back, in line with the belly button, you've got the fat deposits, which sometimes called the love handles. They're also the last to go. So although I am shedding fat with regard to body mass, it doesn't look as though my waist is going to go down anytime soon because it's going to be the last thing to move, which is unfortunate, but there you go. Looking at my sleep, I'll scroll down here slowly. So if you want to, you can pause the video and you can just check. I'll scroll down slowly because I'm getting there. So for the last quarter, you can see here in May, overall sleep was 7 hours and 7 minutes. My light sleep average was 4 hours 35 a night. My deep sleep in May was an average of 1 hour 23 minutes, which is good. And my REM sleep was an average in May of 1 hour and 8 minutes. June, where I was kind of in the UAE and also in the Philippines, average overall sleep went up to 8 hours and 9 minutes a night. My light sleep was 5 hours and 9 minutes a night. And my average deep sleep in June was 1 hour 33. So that's gone up, which is good. And my average REM sleep in June was 1 hour and 26, which is really good. You may have watched the video I talked about where it came to REM sleep, where everyone kind of thinks that REM sleep is just the way that your brain sorts out memories from long term to short term. It's also got a lot to do with flushing out certain parts of the garbage that accrue in your brain, which people thought was only relevant for deep sleep, but actually REM sleep does that too. Then in July, my overall average of deep sleep was 8 hours and 10 minutes per night. My light sleep was 5 hours and 18 minutes. My deep sleep was good, which was an average of 1 hour and 41. And my REM sleep for July was an average of 1 hour 10. So I'm quite happy with my sleep scores for the last quarter. So let's take a look at my resting heart rate. I'll start here and scroll down again. You can look, if you can pause if you want to look at the resting heart rate scores that I've got. So for the last quarter, my resting heart rate was the average in May was 60.25. In June, it was 58. And in July, it was 59.2. The average for the quarter was 59.1. And 59.1 still has me, for my age, which is 59, is still excellent. So I'm happy with that. If you are subscribed and you do look at the community tab, you'll know that at one time, or a couple of times, but I posted it one time in the community tab, my resting heart rate was down to 55. And for someone of my age, that puts me in the athlete category, which I don't think I am, but it's good that it goes somewhere between now 62, 63 and down to 55, which is great. The next thing is my grip strength. Now, unfortunately, after the last 3-month test, I did the grip strength. I didn't pack the meter that I use into the box with my scales, which I used obviously to get the biometrics for these subjective tests. It went in the next balik bayan box. If you're Filipino or Filipinos, you know what balik bayan boxes are. That's going to arrive hopefully in the next couple of days, within a week or so. As soon as it does, I'll do a grip test and I'll add it here. And then the next 3 monthly test, I will be able to do the grip test as well. So no grip test this time, but I will add it and you'll see both of them when I do the next one in 3 months' time. And then my steps for May, I'm looking to get in over 5,000. In May, 5,278. In June, 5,054. And in July was only 4,816. But for the quarter was 5,049, which I'm fairly happy with because, as I said, I'm looking to get over 5,000 steps per day on average. Well, I hope you found that interesting or informative, hopefully both. I think some good results with regard to body weight, body fat percentage, and also my muscle mass. The body weight and the body fat, I think I can put that down to OMAD to a certain degree, but also me exercising now 5 days a week, 2 days cardio for about an hour, 45 minutes, and the 3 days lifting weights. But the increase in muscle mass is strange because I know I did lose a fair bit of size when I wasn't allowed to train for 6 weeks. And I've only been lifting weights again probably for about the last 4 weeks. It's a lot easier to lose it than it is to get it back. So I'm a bit bewildered by that result. I'd be interested to see what you think in the comments of the YouTube video. Lots of people ask when they see my blood test results or they see my biological age test results, but how do you feel in yourself? The only way you'd really be able to look at that is to go back and watch the 3 monthly reviews from the beginning. It would take a long time, but then you'd actually see the timeline. You'd see the way that things are improving, maybe take a dip and then carry on improving. I'd say more or less my exercise regime, my fitness, my stamina, as much as it was in my late 30s and my early 40s. I noticed it was difficult to maintain that standard when I hit my 50s. And as I said, I went from going on a low carb diet or high carb diet, which was what everyone had said. I did lots of pasta and bread, and I just couldn't put the weight off. Even though I was training 5 days a week, maybe an hour, maybe more per day, I just couldn't shift the weight. Then I found out about keto and the low carb, high fat diet. That made a big difference. I lost a lot of weight and my energy levels increased, etc. But they soon plateaued and I was starting to head downhill again. It wasn't until I started taking the supplements, especially NMN, and especially when I went to 1.5 grams a day, that I see my strength and my stamina returning in the gym. Now, some people might say it's a placebo effect, which it could be. Let me know if you've seen a study which lasted for 4 years and the people taking the placebo continued to increase whatever it was that we were measuring in the same way as the people that were getting the actual supplement or the medication that they thought they were getting.